So click on this finish. So after finishing it, I've got this grid point like this. So this is in the isometric view. So to make it as a plain normal view, so I'll take it as view from Z. So now look at this, my portal frame. The portal frame, it is A. There are four nodes, that is A, B, C, D. So for this A and B, C, D, so I've taken this, click on this snap node beam on. For this snap node beam on, from A to B it is 5 meter, and from B to C it was 5 meter, and C to D it was 5 meter. So after this, press escape button and press on this close button. So after that, your beams are visible like this. Now only thing is you have drawn the frame, that's all. So on now you have to select what type of a material you are placing, whether you are placing the concrete or whether you're placing the steel, whatever it is. And after that you have to specify the support specification also, and you have to give define the loads also. So for that you have to go here, go to commands, click on this command, go to an member property, go to prismatic here, and my entire frame, it is rectangular portion. For that, go to rectangle, give your YD distance and the ZD distance. YD and ZD, it is nothing but breadth of your frames and the depth of your frame. So I'll take it as 230 by 450, so 0.45 by 0.23, and selected the material as concrete material. If you click on the drop down box, there are steel, stainless steel, aluminum, and the concrete, it is there. I'll take it as concrete only. So click on this add and go to close button and select this, whatever the defined material is there, and use cursor to select. Click on this use cursor to assign. After that, click on this assign. So click on this assigning, and assigning. So entire frames, it is selected as an it is visible as R1. R1, it is nothing but at the reference section 1, whatever the defined material was there, the same material has been assigned. It says that the same material has been assigned. So click on this close button. Now go to an commands. So go to commands. After that, go to a support specification. In that support specification, so in my frames, whatever frame I've selected, this is a fixed frame. I mean fixed support, it is there. So for that, I'll go click on this fixed, go to add. So use cursor to select that whatever your defined support specification was there. Select that defined support specification. I have defined it as a fixed support. So I've selected that fixed support and click on this user cursor to assign. Click on this assign button, and wherever you want to assign the supports, there you need to assign it. So there, click on wherever you have needed supports. Later, click it on close button. It is done. Member frame has been drawn, and the member property has been defined, and support also has been done. Now the thing is, we need to assign a loads. Okay, the load, which is concentrated load, which is active point load, which is acting at the center. Okay, so for that, go to commands, go to an loading. So there, click on this primary load. So after that, click on this dead load. So here, the title load case, mention it as dead load only. And after that, go to live load. So there, your title, you mention it as live load only. Add close button. Click on this close button only. So now, go to click on this dead load. Select that dead load. Select add beam. So here the self weight is there. So here mention it as -1 and mention it as an y axis, because it is acting at the self weight. It will be acting at the acting at the downward direction, and also it is acting at the y axis. So since it is acting at the downward directions, I've taken it as a -1, because it has to act on the frames, on the members it has to act. So that is why I've taken it as a -1 only. Click on this add button, close button. So after that, go to a live load. So live load is whichever the loads which has been given in the diagram. I mean, whatever the problem you are doing it. So in the problem itself, they have mentioned that the live load, it is 30 kilonewton, which is acting at the center. And also this 30 kilonewton load, it is exactly acting on the member. For that reason, I'll select it as member load. Go to member load. Here concentrated force is there, and P value, that is force value, it is 30 kilonewton. So that is -30, because 30 kilonewton, it is acting in the downward direction. That is why -30. And also it is acting at the 2.5 meter distance. So if you want to check it, it is acting from B to C. In between B to C, it is acting at the 2.5 meter distance. So that is why I've taken it as a 2.5. So click on this add button and close button. Now select this entire this thing. Select the entire beam first. Select the entire beam. So after that, select whatever the load has to be assigned. Assign to selected beams. Assign. Yes, you give it. So entire thing is selected. Earlier it was visible in the red color and the question mark. Now it has been green. It means that it says that it has been assigned to the beam. Whatever the defined material, defined load was there, it has been assigned to your beams. So now only thing is the left out part is live load. So I have to assign the live load. Live load, it is acting between B and C. Between these two nodes, it was acting. If you want to check, it is acting between B and C. So now it is only, I have to select this beam. I have selected this beam. I have selected this load. Click on this assign to selected beams. Click on this assign. Yes. So you can check out here and click on this button. On this loads is there, no, click on that. So if you want to annotate all the values, click on this load value and node numbers and node points. Click on this apply button, okay button. So now we have got the node values also, node points also, and the load values also. So now the next part is go to command, go to an analysis, perform analysis is there. Click on this all button, okay. Okay, now click on this analyze, run analysis, save. Okay, go to post processing mode, done, and select entire dead load and the live load. Click on this apply button, okay. So this is how your frames will be visible. Now we have to check out your shear force and the bending moment diagram. So for that shear force, this is your shear force diagram. If you want a value of your shear force, so go to an results, view value. So there beam results will be there, shear values, maximum values, annotate. Okay, so there I have annotated over here. In case if you want a bending moment, so that time switch off this shear force and go to a bending moment. So in the bending moment, go to a results and again view value and beam results, bending moment maximum value, annotate. Okay. Okay, given a annotate value. So this is how your shear force and bending moment will be visible. This is about our StatPro. So coming to this, the same thing I had explained here. Grid box will be there, and after that we need to draw in a frame and material member property we have to add it. After that we have to add in a support specifications also, and after that loading conditions for the dead load and the live load we have to add it, and the load value I have to mention it, and after that go to an analysis, perform analysis. After that go to post processing mode. Later we get a shear force diagram and the bending moment diagram and also value. And coming to this MS project, in this MS project, I have completed experiment number 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that is MS project. It is project management. Project management, it is the practice of planning, organizing, and overseeing the execution of project to achieve specific goals within constraints like time, cost, and scope. It involves using methodologies, tools, and framework to ensure projects. And also the key components of this project management, it is project initiation and how to plan and how to execute and how to monitor and control it and how to closure the project, when to closure the project. These are the main key components of this project management. In this project management, we tend to learn about AON, what is AON and what is AOA, and critical path, predecessor, successor, baseline project, and the floats. AON, it is nothing but activity on node. In the fifth sem class, we were drawing and we were mentioning the activity in the node, the circle and arrow, circle, arrow. That was your network diagram, right? So there we used to mention or we used to put our activity in the circle itself. So that we call it as an activity on node. That circle we call them as a node. So for that it is activity on node. In case if we mention activity on the arrow itself, so that we call them as an activity on arrow. The later critical path, the critical path, it is in a longest path and also it is in a longest sequence. The critical path, the major uh, plus point and the major benefit in this MS project, that project management, is we can identify which is critical activity and which is a critical path. So what is this critical path exactly? It is the activity which delays the project, the path which delays the project, that we call it as a critical activity, or the path we call them as a critical path. Coming to this predecessor and the successor, a predecessor is a task that must be completed before another task can start. Okay, and a successor is a task that follows and depends on the completion of a preceding task in the project schedule. For an example, for substructure, superstructure is a successor. For superstructure, substructure is a predecessor, the same way. And the baseline project, every project will have a baseline project, because every day, when the project starts, there will be a many constraints. So as per the constraints, there will be an actual schedule gets changed, actual dates get changed, actual final completion of dates gets changed. So as per that, every day schedule also gets keep on changing it, the starting date of the project keep on changing it. But when we have to track the project, we have to track the project with respect to baseline project only. So that is, we call them as a baseline project. So for this, click on this right click new button and the MS project. Let us see how to do this, how to execute this project. I mean, how to execute this problem in the MSP using MSP. So here I have a problem here. So I've taken one example problem here. So that activity A, activity, predecessor and duration. So for this, I'll go to Hmm. Right click new button, go to MS project document. So there you can give your project name whatever it is. I'll keep it as RIT only. So after that, click on this RIT. Okay, when you click on this RIT, your screen will be visible like this. So this we call them as a Gantt chart. Okay, Gantt chart, this is your working area. So first and foremost, what we have to do, go to a project, go to a change working time. Here, when you change working time, select on create new calendar. So for this, go to, you can give whatever the name you want it, your project name, whatever it is. So that name you can give it RIT. So I'll take it as standard calendar only, night shift calendar, 24 hours calendar. I take it as standard calendar only. So I'll make it as RIT. So after that, click on OK button. So now Saturday and Sunday here it is non-working day. Sometimes what will happen, and also the working time. First shift it is 8 to 12 and next shift it is 13 to 17. It means it is 24 hours calendar. Since it has a 24 hours calendar, it is saying that 8 to 12 it is morning session and 12 to 1 it is lunch hour and 1 to 5 it is your next shift it is there. So if I want to change it as Saturday as a working day, so that time what you have to do, go to work weeks, okay, select this default, go to details only, and Monday to Saturday make this a set days to non-working times, set days to these specific working times, use project default times for these days and there. So we have to select set days to these specific working times. So I'll make it as 9 to 10 and 13 to, in case if you want, in case, 1 to 6 if you want it, you can make it as 1 to 6 only. Now you can see the difference. Earlier, Saturday was non-working day. Now Saturday it is working day. I made it as Saturday as working day. And other one, exceptions. What is this exception? In case if you have any government holidays, in case if you have any other holidays, so that time you can, as per your company, if you have any holidays, so that time you can make it as a non-working day. For that, go to exception, select that particular day. Okay, so in case on Feb 26th, if it is Mahashivaratri, so make it as, type it as Shivara Mahashivaratri, so make it. So now it is clearly visible that it is showing in the red color. It means that that day it is a non-working day. Okay, so that non-working day should not be considered for this project schedule. So that is how we maintain this calendar. First and foremost, by doing any project scheduling, we have to set a calendar first. Okay, here go to, when you go to an options, you have a number of dialog box. So this you can change as per your project, as per your company, as per your project information. Click on this OK and click on this OK. Go to this again, project, first and foremost project information and the start date, the when your project starts, so that day will be your start date and the current date will be your the start date, and status date is not applicable, and schedule from project start day itself you have to schedule it. And whereas calendar, you had created a calendar, your own calendar, so you had named it as RIT. So here in the dialog box it is visible, I mean drop down box it is visible, you can select that RIT calendar only. So click on that RIT, give OK. Okay, after that, here WBS is the defined code. So I'll define the code as state Karnataka RIT and water resource project, and it is initiated in 2025. Okay, and go to a sequence. He can, in the drop down box you have a four options, that is number, uppercase, lowercase, and characters. So I'll click it as numbers only. Click on this OK. Okay, so this has been done. So now I'll solve the problems whichever I was showing here. So these problem. So go to an activity. So that is activity A, activity B, type, keep on typing, activity C, activity D, and activity E, and activity F. Okay, so these task mode, whatever it is there, this task modes, we have a two in the drop down box, we have a two component, that is manually scheduled and other one is auto scheduled. So I'll make all things as auto scheduled only. I'll completely drag over here. So I'll make that as auto scheduled. Now you can see the difference. Look at here. So task mode is there, task name and duration, start date, finish date, and the predecessor. Now I'll change the duration. You can see the, look at here, even the finish date also, it is everything is 5th of February 2025. But as soon as I enter the duration, entire finish dates gets changes. It means that the entire finish date, it depends on duration. The entire start dates depends on predecessor. Okay. So coming to activity A, duration is 3 days. Okay, coming to activity B, duration is 5 days, and coming to activity C, duration is 7 days, and coming to activity D, duration is 10 days, and coming to activity E, duration is 5 days, and coming to activity F, duration is 4 days. Okay, so now coming to predecessor, for activity B, activity A is a predecessor, activity C, activity A is a predecessor, activity D, activity B is a predecessor, activity E, activity C is a predecessor, for activity F, D and E is a predecessor. Okay, so for that activity B, activity A was a predecessor, E is a predecessor, activity B, activity A is a predecessor, activity A, it is there at serial number 1, row number 1. So row number 1, it is 1FS. Okay, because why I have given for activity B, activity A is a predecessor, activity A, it is there at row number 1. That is why I've taken 1. And FS is, we have a 4 condition we have studied at the 5th semester, that is to the with the predecessor we will be using in a 4 condition. One is start to start, start to finish, finish to start, and the finish to finish. Where the predecessor, some activities will start automatically. One activity starts when one activity starts, so other activity can be started simultaneously. Okay, but most of the times we will be using a finish to start FS only. So that is why I've taken 1 FS. It means that as soon as activity A completes, activity B has to start. Okay, that is why as soon as activity A finishes, activity B has to start. That is why I've considered it as a 1 FS. And after that, for activity C, activity A is a predecessor. For activity C, activity A is a predecessor. That is 1 FS. Okay, and for activity D, activity B is a predecessor. Activity B is there at serial number 2, row number 2. That is why I've taken it as 2FS. And for activity E, activity C is a predecessor. Activity C, it is there at serial number 3 and row number 3. So that is why I've taken it as 3FS. And for the activity F, D and E is a predecessor. So D is there at serial number 4 and E is there serial number 5. So that is why 4FS, FS, 5FS. So I can see the difference here. Gantt bars are there. So Gantt bars are interlinked. As soon as they've given a predecessor, it has been interlinked. It is showing a link over here. So this is how. Now it is done. I have to check out the critical activity, critical path. So for that, go to task, go to Gantt chart. In the Gantt chart, check out this network diagram. Okay. Whatever it is visible in the red color, it is the activity or the event. It is visible in the red color. It means that it is in a critical activity or the critical event. The path which is showing in the red color, it is critical path. So now if you want to what if you want to track the project, you can track the each activity. And if you double click on this project, you can see here, check out here general, and when is the start date and when is the finish date, and whatever, which one is your predecessor and which one is your resource, everything it is visible here. Okay, so now if you want to link the project, go to between the projects, go to move projects. And if you want a resource, so you can add the resource also for this, and go to you can add the resource name and assignment on the units cost. For an example, if I add carpenter, so you can add the carpenter and how many percentage you require, so you can add the task. Look at this. So this is how we can add the resource persons. And if you want, if this is how we can add the resource material also. So that is about your MSP. So MSP complete have taught you about baseline, move projects and link project and work breakdown structures, everything. Now it is experiment number 8 and 9. Experiment, I only experiment number 8. In the experiment number 8, it is design of super elevation using Excel sheet, and design of computing the earthwork excavation using an Excel sheet. So here I have a super elevation design also. In the super elevation design, we have E equals V square by 225 R. If E is less than E max, design is safe, then no need to calculate, no need to go further. If E is greater than E max, then we have to go to a step 2. So there we have to calculate a friction. So there also, if the friction satisfies, then we no need to carry further. So if the condition doesn't satisfy, this condition doesn't satisfy, we have to go to a step 3. There we have to calculate the allowable speed limit. So for that, so we have an Excel sheet here. So I've created an Excel sheet. This is super elevation. So there I've taken a problem, and radius of curve V is nothing but speed, and F max, that is friction, maximum friction. As per the IRC, it is 0.15, and super elevation, maximum super elevation, it is as per the IRC, it is 0.07. And whereas step 1, the super elevation is formula is E equals V square by 225 R. So I've substituted entire thing. V value I've taken, it is here. If I click here, so I've given a formula over here. I have interlinked to that. So after interlinking that, I have got a value over here. After that, I have used a if conditions. If the E is less than E max, design is safe. If E is greater than E max, design is not safe. E is greater than E max. That is the reason it is design is not safe. So after that, if the design is not safe, I have told you earlier that we have to go to a step 2. That is step 2 is when the design is not safe, we need to check for the friction. The friction formula is F equals V square by 127 R minus E max. So after substituting the entire value with by using this, look at, yeah, if I change this and speed value, so entire terms gets changed. That is how I have created a spreadsheet. So now this formula, for this formula is substituted. The here also F is greater than F max. That is why the design is not safe. So if the design is not safe, we have to go to an step 3. So that is allowable speed limit. For the allowable speed limit, we have a formula square root of 127 R into E max plus F max. So after substituting that, I've gotten a 74.75. This 74.75, it is 74.75, it is lesser than the whatever the given speed. The given speed is 80 kilometer per hour. So the 74.75, it is lesser than that. So it is design is safe. So the last one, it is earthwork calculations. So for coming to this earthwork calculations, we have a 3 formula. For the super elevation, I have defined 3 problems. So we can take out that. So coming to this earthworks, computation of earthwork. So we can calculate the quantity of earthwork by using 3 methods. So that is mid-sectional area method, and mean sectional area method, and the prismoidal area method. So here I'm using mid-sectional area method. So here is a formula problem also. So I've taken this problem and I've created a spreadsheet, that is earthwork calculations. So computation of earthwork, length of the chain, width of the, these all whatever I mentioned in a gray, I mean brown color. So these are the given data. If I change any one of this value, so entire spreadsheet gets changed. That is how I've created a spreadsheet. Okay, so now the length of the chain 20 meter, 8 meter, and the side slope for the banking it is 1.5, and cutting is 1. At the zero chain it is 230, upward gradient 1 in 200. So after calculating that, so you look at here, this I've calculated it in case if I change this, if I make it as 30 meter, so this becomes 0.15. Okay, so this is upward gradient. So that is why I've taken it as upward gradient. Upward gradient means I have to keep on adding the values of this value. Okay, in case if it is downward gradient, so that time I have to minus the value from these RL formations. Okay, so now go to taken chain edges and ground level above the datum. These two datas were given by the question itself. Now the RL of formation at zero chain edge, they've given 230. After that, I keep on adding the point 0.1, point 0.1 value. 230 plus 0.1, 230.1, 230.1 plus 0.1, 230.2. Same way I've kept on adding. So after that, depth. So that is difference between RL of formation and RL of datum. So 230 minus 231.1, 230.1 minus 231.2. So these are whatever the things are indicated in the red color. So that is, it indicates that cutting. Whatever the things we indicated in the green color, it means that it is banking. It means that we have to fill the soil. So where the red color is there, we have to cut the soil, we have to excavate the soil, we have to dig out the soils. Okay. So to calculate the quantity of BD plus ST square, the formula is Q equals BD plus ST square into L. For that, I have created the spreadsheet, I have created the table. So that is serial number, distance, depth, mean D. So distance is 0, 20, because every chain it is 20, 20, 20. It is keep on adding 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. Is it not? So now depth I have taken from here. The depth, whatever the distance depth I had calculated now, so taken, and I have ignored the sign conventions, and I've taken a mean D also. This plus this divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2 will give me a mean D. After that, B into D. B is nothing but width of the formation into D is this mean D value, and SD square, S is nothing but slope. So for the banking, these red color, whatever it indicates, that is cutting, and green, whatever it indicates, banking. For the cutting, I have taken the slope value as this, and for the banking, I have taken the slope value as, I mean S value as this 1.5. So after that, BD plus SD square. So if I add these two columns, so I'll get this one value, and I've interlinked all the things. Only thing, if I change this value, entire things gets changes. And L value, the chain edge length is 20 meter chain where we have used in the field. So that is why everywhere it is 20 meter only. Cutting value. So whatever these cutting indicates negative value, it is indicated in the different column, that is cutting. And whatever the green I had given, I mean positive value I had given, taken. So that is indicated in the banking only. Finally, the total quantity I've got it. The banking is 805 and cutting is 680. But when we apply arithmetic check, so it is not okay, because cutting should be equal to banking. Okay, and the same way while doing in a profile leveling or the fly leveling or the survey, what we'll be doing at that time when we apply in a check, the last RL minus first RL, summation of backside minus summation of foresight. So both should be equal. The same way we have an arithmetic check here also. So the cutting quantity should be equal to banking quantity. So it as per the arithmetic, it is not safe. I mean, it is not okay, because whatever the quantity we cut it here, we need to fill over here. Okay, and there should be a balanced. So that is how it is. Thank you.